Well, this is Steve, and I'm here with
Cain. I'm urban designer with the city's community development division.
And
Shan Gunawardena, I'm a traffic engineer.
Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Calhoun streetscape improvements that are going on. Kind of at the halfway mark, from what I understand, in the project.
We just passed the halfway mark a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. And how's the project going so far?
We've been doing fairly well. The contractor set a fairly aggressive schedule for himself. He wasn't quite able to maintain that schedule, but we're still pretty optimistic of getting the job done by the deadline.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've kind of noticed is it seems like for quite a while there was nothing going on and just kind of sitting there. And when you look at some of the other projects that go on around the city, you know, they're ripping up concrete at the beginning of the week and pouring concrete at the end of the week. So I'm assuming from that there's probably been a lot of underground work and
yes. The nature of this streetscape project, there is a lot of underground work underneath the proposed sidewalk. We are putting in a lot of conduit for street lights, for proposed sound system, and for the LED pavers that you've probably seen on the first block. That requires a lot of underground work, prep work that needs to be done before the new sidewalk can be prepared. So after the original sidewalk was demolished, there was about just around 2 to 2.5 weeks worth of underground work that the electrical contractor had to do before they could form and pour the new sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. And then, Sean, of course, there's not to forget that we've got soil going in, newly created trenches to support the growth of the new trees, and so that underground preparation takes a little bit of time as well. And then you've got your whole assortment of underground basement walls and things that were left from previous incarnations of the street that you occasionally find, and you have to work around and adjust your plans accordingly.
the trenches, that was the soil vaults that we had talked about earlier?
That's right, yeah. So that we are increasing the amount of soil that's under the sidewalk for the trees to tap into by a factor of about 5 or 6 over what was available to the trees previously. And that's really important so that the trees can grow to become really large and mature well and get us more than 20 or 25 years worth of life expectancy out of them.
Then there was also some work done, if I'm remembering correctly, for signalization. Sean?
Yes, because it's going to two-way operation. We have to provide signal indications from both directions now. And there was some underground conduit work that had to be done. Some of the equipment was in pretty bad shape. When they started digging, they damaged some of the underground conduits, and those had to be replaced. So rather than come back later and rip up everything that was already installed new, we figured it could be the appropriate time to do it while the road was ripped out.
Okay. I know, Tom, you were talking with me last week about some of the trees that you've picked out and that are going to be arriving for placement. Sounded like you had some pretty beautiful trees on the way.
We've been working with a local supplier who has found a nursery in southern Wisconsin, actually. It's a grower who grows trees for the Chicago market. It's one of the best nurseries in the Chicago area, and they specialize in producing large-scale trees for this kind of installation. And we've seen photos of the trees and know that they'll be somewhere between 20 and 22 feet tall. At the time they're planted, they'll be tall enough for me, who's 6'2", to walk under with ease. And they'll have all of the right form characteristics so that as time goes on and the trees mature, they'll grow into the shape and form that we ideally want to have for this commercial shopping street.
Okay. I know there's also some, I'm going to pan over here, I know that there's some temporary lights we were talking about earlier.
That is correct. Yes, the reason for the temporary lights is when they took out all the street lights as part of the demo work, we didn't want to leave the street in darkness, and the new fixtures that are supposed to go on there hadn't been delivered yet, so we placed some temporary light fixtures until the new ones arrive.
Okay. One of the things that's also driving the project isn't so much maybe the festivities that take place in this 2-block stretch on Thanksgiving, but if I remember right, there's also a need to have the asphalt laid before it gets too cold.
That's correct, yes. Asphalt plants typically close around Thanksgiving, and we hope to have the pavement milled and resurfaced by then, and that's our deadline is just a weekend before Thanksgiving, so we're pretty optimistic of getting that accomplished.
And we have our tree contractor online to have the trees installed right about the same time, right before the hard construction is all finished. So by the time of the holiday festivities, we ought to have a pretty complete looking package down here.
Great, great. Anything else you'd like to add about
Just
the
want to
project?
emphasize that all the businesses on Calhoun Street are open, and you know, they are accessible, if not by vehicular traffic, at least by pedestrian infrastructure. So no reason to stay away from Calhoun Street. We would prefer you to come down here and actually take advantage of all the businesses that are open.
And you guys actually made the decision to try and leave the street open to try to avoid a closure as much as possible.
That is correct. Actually, that's one of the reasons why we are falling just a little bit behind. The contractor had made several requests to us to see if we could close the street down to get the demolition work done a lot quicker without maintaining vehicular traffic. Property owners wanted to make sure that we maintained one lane of traffic, and we kept that in our boundaries.
I was sharing with Sean, Tom, just as kind of an aside, I was down here, walked through the area on Sunday, and I can't remember the name of the building, but it's the red sandstone building over here. They were actually out doing some exterior work to the building, kind of spiffing it up a little bit. Do you think we'll see a little bit more of that on this stretch?
Certainly there's opportunity for a little bit more, but interestingly, during the time that it was the old transit mall, many of the facades along this street were rebuilt or restored or renovated, and actually the street looks a whole lot better now than it did 25 years ago. We've had wonderful investment on the part of private individuals in the downtown, and now that the beautiful facades are even more exposed, maybe we'll see additional maintenance and repairs done to keep them looking really wonderful.
Will there be more money for the commercial facade grant program? Do you know anything about that, or?
Actually, we're going to be talking about that in the near future. The city is working on having another round of funding available for that program in the outer neighborhoods, and I'm not sure of the details, but I believe we have a program available for the downtown area currently.
Okay. And they can get a hold of the mayor's office probably for that, or?
Community Development Division is where those two programs are being offered from, and we're glad to work with folks and talk with them about the potential for including them in the program.
Okay. Anything else I left out, or we left out?
I think you covered everything.
All right.
Well, you know, really great thanks to the businesses and the property owners along the street who've been very patient and helpful in making this all happen, because clearly, you know, we're working in people's living rooms and in their workplaces and their businesses, and it's a very difficult thing, but if folks can bear with us for another month and a half or so, we ought to be all finished here.
We are trying to keep all property owners updated on the progress of the project. Contractors, sometimes they don't know what their activities are going to be from day to day, so we try the best we can to keep them updated, but sometimes they try to take advantage of opportunities as they come open to them, so we try to get things done as expeditious as we can.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for the chance.
Keep up the good work, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.